Hey guys, Elite Legionario here, bringing you a 2 versus 2 for Medieval 2 Total War. I'm just trying to remember the name of this map. I do know it. I think it's like a Delwise or something. It's a strange name. I might be wrong though, but it's the map that's got like a kind of like a cross valley through it, shaped almost like a cross, and several open plains on top of those hills. So anyway, I'll be playing as the Holy Roman Empire, and I'll be joined by Monlith, who's playing as France. Now, he almost never plays Medieval 2 Total War, so it isn't his strongest suit. He's still capable with it, of course, but I'm not sure if he's familiar with the major mechanics of this game, so he might not play as excellently as he does on Rome. So he still plays good though, so at no point does he play badly. So he's France. Our opponents are, this was the host up here, Silly Willy and Philly, interesting name, he's Denmark. Real big infantry force there, and Lavernicus will be playing as Spain, so I'll be seeing if I can make up for those two defeats I suffered at his hands before. So there were no rules in this game, if I remember correctly. I don't think there were many rules. So my army consists of, I have 2 units of peasants. I think this was even on huge scale too. I think it could be, or large scale actually. Yeah, it might be large scale, because most Medieval 2 games are played on small or medium, because it's more of a laggy game, unfortunately. So I think this is large scale, so it's why the armies look a bit bigger. So I got 1, 2, 3. I think I got 3 dismounted feudal knights and 3 dismounted. Might be 4 dismounted feudal knights and 2 dismounted imperial knights. Can't really remember. Again, guys, these were quite a while ago because of my computer being annoying. So I had 3 units of puppies crossbow. Don't worry though, I do remember how this goes, so I know what I'm talking about. I just can't remember every specific, but I also had 3 units of Teutonic knights. I had a unit of raiders and 2 units of mounted crossbowmen. So I think the rules are a wee bit different. So if we look at Monlith's army, he's coming down to come and support me. Okay, I might come back to him while his army's reorganised, because I can't really tell in that jumble, so I'll try to come back to him. So Lavernicus has 4 units of Knights of Santiago. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 3 dismounted conquistadors, but they've got no upgrades, no defensive upgrades at least, and he's got 3 chivalric knights. He's also got 1, 2, 3, 4 muskets. He's got a general's bodyguard, and he has I think he's got 2 basilisks as well, so they're artillery pieces. So Monlith's cavalry consists of 1 general's bodyguard. He's got 2 noble knights. He's got 3 noble knights, and he might have a lancer as well. I'm not too sure. It might just be noble knights. I can't really tell on this yet. And he's got 1, 2, 3. I think he's got 5 or 6 chivalric knights, and about 3 or 4 aventurii, which is the French crossbow unit. So it's a really good army he's brought. A good, solid, strong army. You don't really go wrong with France, so that's all good. So we were trying to get, basically, to take advantage of the fact that Lavernicus was way out here on his own, because these 2 didn't deploy together. But he's smart. He goes up to this hill where he knows he has a good chance of fending both of us off long enough for his ally to come and assist him. Now his ally's army consists of a mixture of a lot of infantry. He's got a lot of Norse swordsmen. He's got crossbows there. He's got more Norse swordsmen. Then he's got Obershire. He's got 3 of those, and probably about 4 or 5 Norse swordsmen. Then he's got a bunch of dismounted chivalric knights, probably about 5 of those. And he's got a ballista. So I think he was a fairly new player, because he didn't seem to really get the mechanics of the game. He didn't realise how powerful and dangerous cav are. So he's one of those people who really loves infantry, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then they think Denmark is the best infantry faction, and while it's got a lot of infantry options, they've not really got anything that's super powerful. We've just got a lot of good stuff, a lot of sort of like middle of the road, reasonably okay stuff, but nothing spectacular compared to the Spanish infantry. These conquistadors outclass all the other infantry on this field by quite a stretch, except for the chivalric knights, which are not quite as good, but they're still very capable. So he's also got over here, he's got some spear militia, some more crossbowmen. It's a big sort of mix mash of things. So That's his army. So if we have another look at Monlith's force, I think he's got 4 noble knights and 5 noble knights, and he's got good, about 5 or 6. Yeah, I was pretty much right. Same with the Chivalric Knights, dismounted version. So I was bringing my guys around and just looking for options to skirmish. Basically, I'm just trying to keep them on his toes here and divide them out a bit. And I was just bringing my guys around just to get more kills and whatever else I could do. But we wanted to pull it out here because, to be honest, it's a nice flat area in the sort of open terrain area here. I didn't want to fight in any of these valleys and stuff. That would be really difficult to do, and it would be hard to implement cav. So you want to try and find an open area, and this would be the safest because we wouldn't be going uphill too much at one point unless we go straight up this hill, which we won't do. We'll try and draw them off the hill, which is the best way to do it. So although I was looking to try and beat down Lavernicus, seeing as he beat me those last 2 times, I do have to work closely with Monlith. It is a 2 versus 2, so it does require my teamwork here, and I can't stand it when your ally doesn't support you or doesn't play along with any plans. It really irritates me. Fortunately, of course, Monlith is not someone to do that. I've played plenty of Rome Total War with him as allies, and as enemies, and he does work well as allies. So at this stage, we're just trying to organise ourselves, basically. Lavernicus was, I think, taking shots at us with these basilisks, which is why you'll notice that my army's like completely in loose formation, so I take the least hits from them, and of course it does work very well. Some of you may also wonder why I'm using feudal knights and not just imperial knights. Now, imperial knights, yes, they do have the armour piercing mace, however their attack is less and their defence is less, so I like to use a mixing of both. Feudal knights, every faction, pretty much every faction that's Catholic in this game can get them, and they're very standard, but they're a very good unit. Both the cavalry and the infantry variant are both very good to have, so that's why I have got them there. So Monlith's pulling back a bit here, while Lavernicus takes some pop shots at us. He's going after my cav here. That's a smart move, because if you can thin those out, he'll make his job a bit easier. Now, Teutonic Knights in this game are actually very good. Now, they don't have any spectacular kind of charge power. I think it's just average, sort of middle of the road. But they do have very good melee fighting. So once they get stuck into it with other cav, they do very well, because they have a mace, which is armor piercing, and they've got very high attack and defense, I believe. It's just they only have average charge. The charge is still acceptable, but they excel at their fighting with other cav. Like if my Teutonic Knights were to go at it with these Chivalric Knight, or if I were to face France's Noble Knights, I'm pretty sure I would win that, because I've got better melee fighting. I'd also beat these Knights of Santiago. So I've got the best cavalry in that area. Those Noble Knights do, however, have very high charge, so they would do well as well. So he's aiming at Monlith cav now. Again, this was no rules, and Lavernicus does like to use cannons, but to be honest, cannons can be pretty easily dealt with, and it's a similar thing to Rome Total War with onagers, however you want to say it, because really if you go into loose formation, just spread your men out and cover them, make sure no other enemy cav get at them, you really can avoid a lot of damage from artillery fire. So artillery in a lot of ways becomes baggage too, because people get so stuck up on defending it that they end up sacrificing good positioning and whatever else, or they get too defensive and too stuck up on their artillery to realise that they could do something much better if they moved around more. Lavernicus is not someone to get stuck up on his artillery, however. He will attempt to protect it, but he will make sure he will probably give them up if it gives him a better terrain feature. So he is targeting at these guys here, but again I've put them into loose formation, so I'm not too concerned. I'm giving them a rest though, because they are a bit tired after running around all up here. As you can see, I did manage to probably get a good 10 of these Santiago Knights with those crossbowmen, so they did play a useful role that will help turn things in my favour. Now I probably will move back in a moment. I don't think I realised I was quite as close as I was, so I probably will move them back in a moment. I'll move my other cav out of the way, because I don't want to lose my Teutonic Knights, because they'll be very useful. So Lavernicus is not a player who likes to hill camp. He only came up here because there were 2 of us and his ally was so far away from supporting him. But at this stage, seeing his ally has come down the hill, Lavernicus is also going to come down so we can fight on even terrain. He doesn't like hill camping. He's much like me in that same area, but he'll do it only if it basically evens the playing field long enough to the point where he can come off. So the Danish player is going to come towards me at this stage, and I'll come towards him and fight him out in the open in a moment. And I don't expect to have much difficulty with him, simply because he has no cavalry, and a few charges from my Teutonic Knights will rout most of this heavy infantry. And I've got plenty of infantry of my own that's capable of fighting his. His Norse infantry is definitely not as good as my infantry, but his chivalric knights, where are they? I know they're here somewhere. They might be a bit further back. Yeah, his chivalric knights, and they're Abishire. These guys back here, these chivalric knights, he really needs them up at the front because they are units that can fight my infantry, but these other units he cannot. So Lavernicus is quite far away over there, so what we do, well actually I want to spot this now. I see his basilisk he left them behind, so I send in my mounted crossbowmen and I rout his cannons, and then I'm going to pull out of this before he can come in and protect them. So I wanted to spot that while I can, and both me and Monlith see just how isolated they've become from one another, so we're going to exploit this pretty ruthlessly, and without mercy basically. So we're starting to shoot a missile duel here, and I do take a few hits actually. He does target some of my knights, and this unit here one of these Imperial Knights I think does take quite a beating. Anyway, so I'm going to rush in now, and I think Monlith just nailed this Viking Raider unit that he was trying to sneak around, but he just nailed it with one charge and creamed it. So over here, I pull my mounted crossbowman back. I think I do start skirmishing with this cav. Lavernicus is going to have to pull his cav up here to assist the battle, his ally basically, while me and Monlith just going to send our cav in. I'm going to bring my raiders forward to start causing routs. And Monlith's going to have his noble knight supporting over there. I'll have to keep my other cav. I've got my cav ready, but I'm keeping an eye on Lavernicus as well. So he's bringing his cav up here onto this hill so I can get a downhill charge, which is smart, so we have to be careful of that. But Monlith is just going to exploit some of these mistakes here. But here's some isolated units. Well, he wants to be careful of enemy missile units weakening his cav. Let's look at this charge on these Norse swordsmen. So they were at 89, and that charge just took them down to 63, and he was going uphill. Now he'll just pull out, and that's all you need to do. You just pull out and pull in and pull out like that, and you'll destroy heavy infantry in probably 2 or 3 charges. 3 charges tops. Just depends on the cav and what kind of heavy infantry you're fighting. So over here, Monlith is preparing to bring his infantry forward to face Lavernicus, and I've said he doesn't really need to support me much more as long as Lavernicus is going to have to pull his cav out. However, Monlith is going to struggle against Lavernicus here because Lavernicus has got these muskets, and they will most certainly outrange him, and they will very likely outperform these Aventurae in battle, because the Aventurae don't have a big shield like the Puppy's crossbowmen. So at this stage, I believe he does get his chivalric knights over this hill here. A lot of his troops are, I think, somewhat tired. Yeah, some of them more winded because he rushed a lot of them over here, so my men are a lot more fresh. And I'm still peppering them with crossbow fire. I don't know how much effect I'm actually having at this stage, but I am weakening certain units, and that does help. But I've got most of my cav ready to support Monlith because, again, we're going to have to get pretty aggressive with these musketeers, otherwise Monlith's going to take too many casualties. As you can see, his Aventurae are doing okay now, but he only has 2 of them, so he probably won't last that long against them. So my opponent decides he's getting tired of waiting, so he's going to rush forward, which is fine. I'll meet his rush in a moment. I do believe I pulled some units back because they were in the firing range and I didn't want them to take too many hits. But what I'm going to do now is I believe I will come forward. I'm bringing in my unit of raiders. So basically the raiders are going to start shooting them up and cause a very quick chain rout. I'm going to rush it now with my infantry, and I believe I will send in some of my cav to support as well in a moment. Monlith will push forward with his Aventurier to try and fight off some of these muskets, but he's going to struggle in a fight like that. But if he can stall long enough for me to beat my opponent, I can quickly come and help him. So these Norse swordsmen, no match for my guys at all. My raiders shouldn't have too much trouble routing most of these units here. As you can see, just a few volleys from these, there's I think one volley from these raiders routed this Bear Militia, so that's how quickly they can rout them. As you can see, his Norse swordsmen break under the weight of my superior infantry there, but however, here comes his dismounted chivalric knights, but he's made a mistake. I'm going to be sending in my Teutonic Knights to assist in a moment. I believe I sent one all the way around here because I see a unit of Obershire off on its own, and a single charge against that should pretty much annihilate it. There you go, look at that, 89 to 34 in one charge. That is why you want heavy cavalry people in medieval two-total war. They are just absolutely they'll just absolutely destroy even the best heavy infantry in their charges. So as you can see, this Danish army is starting to rout fairly quickly, and now I'm bringing in my other Teutonic Knights to quickly mop up anything else that's left. I'm sending this unit in to catch some of these other these dismounted chivalric and feudal knights that he has sent in, which are now fighting against my own feudal knights and imperial knights. But he tries to get in charge with his feudal knights. I'll get a nice charge in with my cav there, and probably take about half that unit, and I'll pull out in a moment. Over here I'm going to repeat things with this unit of Teutonic Knights. If we catch a look at this fight, as you can see, his Aventurier got destroyed by those muskets. They hardly even dented them, which is pretty typical. It looks like some of Lavernicus's cannons crewmen managed to come back from routing. But it's okay, as at this point I've routed my opponent's army. I just killed his general there. That's pretty sweet. And again, nice hammer and anvil in here and rout the centre of his army. Over on this side, I'm going to get a nice charge in, and that will rout this part of his army as well with these other Teutonic Knights. However, he did pull a charge out to try and stop it, and this unit's still in it, but eventually his whole army routs. And with very few casualties to my men, except for some of my Imperial Knights took a few hits, but to be honest, the losses he suffered were enormous because he didn't have any cavalry. So now I'm going to send my raiders around the flank here to basically just pop some shots at Lavernicus' guys here. He's on his own now. Now over here we see one of his Santiago Knights, so we used my mounted crossbowmen for him to bait them in so that Monlith Cav could in then turn trap him, and he lost that to Santiago Knight. So I'll probably take some pop shots at his general or run after his artillery there with my raiders. I do see there's a crossbow unit behind me, so I think I end up going after that just to run it down before it becomes too much of a nuisance. As you can see, I'm reorganising my infantry to come over and support Monlith. At this stage he's going to rush it. He's in loose formation just to avoid the muskets, which is smart. And now Lavernicus and Monlith are going to get into a fight with cavalry here, but I'm going to send my mounted crossbowmen behind Lavernicus and get some shots in, as well as encircle them basically. So as you can see, I'm going to complete an encirclement on them and help Monlith out here, and as soon as I arrive it routs this unit of Knights of Santiago, and now I'm going to send this unit in. I was tempted to go after those muskets, but I'm just going to go in here, but by that point the whole horde of Lavernicus' cav routs. So over here I bring down my raiders to assist in this charge, and I'm bringing in my Teutonic Knights at this point. My infantry is on its way, but I'm just marching it because it's a wee bit tired from the fight and we don't really need it. So I get a nice charge in some of his infantry here with my Teutonic Knights. I do knock down a lot of infantry units out of that dismounted chivalric knight, and I'm going to come in. It looks like Monlith killed Lavernicus' general, and I'm going to come in with my raiders there and run off some routers, and I'll pick up whatever else I can. At this point, Monlith's chivalric knights are arriving to take on his conquistadors. A fight the conquistadors would ordinarily win, but there's just too much array against them, so they won't win that. And now my infantry's on its way with my cavalry and support, and my raiders are just picking up routers and causing morale damage with gunfire. So at this stage, my Teutonic Knights coming in for more hammer and anvils, while so is some of Monlith's noble knights. Getting a bit tongue-tied there, but as you can see, we basically just teamwork and we rout Lavernicus, and at this stage he admits defeat. His ally has regrouped some of his units here, so he's up on this hill, but there's so many of us left that it's not really a big deal, and there's so few of them left. So Lavernicus really, he was a bit, without being mean to his ally, he was hampered by his ally. His ally brought a wrong army choice and he did not work. I'm sure Lavernicus would have attempted to work closely with him, but his ally didn't really want to. This guy was perfectly, he's perfectly legitimate to play with. He was friendly enough and all that, but I think he's very new because he just didn't seem to understand how he should play. I've seen players do this. They bring Denmark because they love infantry, and Denmark is a cool faction. I like Denmark myself, but it's definitely nothing spectacular. In all honesty, everyone thinks the infantry's excellent. The infantry's, it's good. Like, it's good, but it's not like really good. There's nothing really great about Danish infantry. In my opinion, the best unit that Denmark actually has is its Norse War Cleric. It's actually a very strong melee fighting cavalry unit. It's as good as Teutonic Knights. So here I get a charge down on his crossbow militia there with my raiders, so I'll finish them off, and I'm just going to send my Teutonic Knights in to finish these last 3 units off in order to shoot this unit to death. So as you can see, as soon as I basically touch these units, they just rout, and that is the end of it. So that is why you want to use Cav. If you're a new person to Medieval 2, and you like Medieval 2 and you want to play it, the key to Medieval 2 in almost every case is optimal use of heavy cavalry charges against infantry, if you can do that. There are certain cav that are better at charging than others, but overall most heavy cavalry will just destroy heavy infantry. But that does not mean heavy infantry is not useful. You just don't let it get charged by heavy cav, which is why in my fights I always use like a screen of peasants to absorb a charge, because if you catch a cavalry stuck still with an infantry unit, then you'll see some different results, because they can beat them that way. But if they get charged, it's just terrible. That lance is just devastating. Out of all the Total War games, for charging and power of cav, I definitely give it to Medieval 2 for just sheer power. Although the Yari Key and Shogun 2 are pretty damaging as well against non-spear, like sword units and stuff. So that is why you want to make sure you've got a decent amount of cav in your army to give you cover. So there's a clear victory. I got an enormous amount of kills and captures. If you combine my kills and captures together, that's almost 2,000. That's probably about 1,800. So probably even going on 1,900 actually, probably just over 1,900. So nearly 2,000 kills there. That was pretty sweet. But again, I had plenty of support by Monlith, and he got 341 on top of his 428, so it takes it over 700. So I couldn't have done that without Monlith support. So again, the support of an ally is useful, and you have to work together in the team battle. Lavernicus, he got the less kills there, but he's really hampered by his ally, who had a big army but no cavalry, and they didn't get to work together very well. And I know that wouldn't be Lavernicus' fault, because he is always willing to work together. So I'm sure his allies was just new and inexperienced, so it kind of hampered Lavernicus that way. So as you saw in those last 2 battles, Lavernicus was capable of, he beat me pretty well in both fights. So he's a good player. So don't for a moment think that he's not a good player. He just got ganged up on that time. So if we look at my Teutonic Knights, 161 with 123 captures, Raiders 86 with 140 captures, my mounted crossbow 130 and 80, my Teutonic Knights here 90, my other Teutonic Knights 189 and 138, and then 134 captures. So my cav got absolutely loads of captures and kills. My infantry units, pretty good as well, 73, 52, 50, 52. What about my dismounted Imperial Knights? Where are they on the list? As you can see, my crossbowmen too, pretty good amount of kills there. Let's see what else. More Feudal Knights, 54, 32. I'm sure where are those Imperial Knights? Look at this Imperial Knight, got 100. So all my army got a lot of kills all around the board pretty much, and that was pretty awesome. It's always cool when that happens. So I guess I only had 1 dismounted Imperial Knight. I thought I had 2. I must only had 1, but it really paid off. It's a good unit because it's got an armor-piercing mace. It does have less attack and defense, so you have to take that into account when you play as the Holy Roman Empire. So anyway, Good game to Monlith. Be cool if you did play some more mid too, but he's more of a roam man. He's pretty good at Shogun for the Samurai. I'm terrible at For the Samurai though, so that's why I don't play it very often. And then Silly Willy and Philly. If you do watch this, remember to make sure you got plenty of Cav, because it is the best way to do it. And of course Lavernicus, it's always a joy to play with you. Enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon next time.